Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheridan Brown come for you?
The Good, the Bad, and the Guilty is recorded live with the men and women of law enforcement. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Now, here's your host, Iredell County Sheriff Darren Campbell.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Well, I'm Darren Campbell. Thank you to everybody for joining us today on The Good, the Bad, and the Guilty. And as always, Matt, well, not as always, but a lot of times it's either you or Bill, so it's great to have you here today. Join us. And
thank you.
I'm going to let you get a little bit in here into our sponsorship.
Yes.
I'm going to start off by saying Harrison's first, and then we'll introduce Brad, Deputy Stroud here. And, we want to thank Harrison for joining us. And I hate it's been a while. I was gone last week, so we're sort of back on there. So.
Well, Harrison's has been great. I know the thing you like to read about is from the rodeo to the home to the work. Scoot boot. But I like to talk about all the stuff they got for the beach and for the summer. Now, the Western wear there's a lot of that. I stopped down there the other day and they've got, I guess it's long sleeve stuff's on sale right now outside. But the Crocs, these new workwear water shoes, the BOGO bags, Boggs bags, the rubber bags that go out on the beach. They got pocket knives, flashlights, some other tactical gear. They got it for all, from man to woman to child to older folks. So Harrison's, and they've got a place in Winston, as well as what's that little town outside of Hickory where they're at? Lenore? No. Anyway, they're around, but Mooresville's their big place. So come down Mooresville, do some shopping.
And if it's this weekend, they got air conditioning that works.
Yeah, that's important. You need to be inside this weekend. Yep.
Absolutely. So hats off to them. Thank them, and please go by and visit them for sponsoring the show. We very much appreciate it. And today, Brad, those that don't know, you've been here before. You currently are serving as a school resource officer at.
I'm transitioning to East Middle School.
There you go. All right. Well, but before that, and the reason we sort of asked you, you're now currently, you want to take on additional role as being a school resource officer, obviously because you like working with kids, but you were prepared to do that. But one of the biggest things that we do, and a lot of people don't think, we're not required to have the division, but we are required to do the checks, our sex offender compliance laws. And basically what it does is the people that's on our sex offender registry, you and another, which is Paget, and we just got a new one over there. Sanford is going to be there, and basically their job is to make sure we know where our sex offenders are. And it may be we do a lot of stuff on Halloween, make sure they're not at the wrong place, keep track of them. It's not something required, but y'all may knock on the doors at 4 a.m. So with that being said, now that you've had that experience, plus how that transcends into being a school resource officer, and but I guess really just tell us a little bit about what the sex offender compliance officer does.
Well, the compliance deputies there's a whole set of laws. It's intended for sex offenders, and they have certain rights that are lost once you're on the registry. So there's a laundry list of things they cannot do, such as being places where certain ones can't be, depending on what they're charged with, can't be near places intended for children. They can't live within 1,000 feet of schools or daycares. They're supposed to, part of our compliance job is to make sure that they're identifying themselves online. There's several different things that they have to do.
And plus, if anybody wants to look, if you download the app from Google Play or the App Store, wherever it's free, it will have all of our sex offender, the registry, pictures, addresses, and all that stuff. So you can actually check your neighbor. There's a mapping software on there, or a system. And basically it's tied in with the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation registry, which is where all of them. And also you can come into our office. We actually keep a paper binder that we're required that you can come in and look through our sex offenders.
And they'll come in and get their registration. I know I've seen you and the other deputies meet with them and get all that information, background information. It's a lot of personal stuff that they have to maintain and keep up. So, and that's where those pictures are taken initially, right?
Yes, sir. We update the pictures as often as needed if their features change. But as they enter the registry, there's different scenarios when they need to register. If they go to prison first, of course, they're not going to be on the registry yet. But once they're out, or if they just get probation, then they have a requirement within a time frame to come in and register. So there's typically, I know Detective Pageant and Detective Sanford, and when I did it for the past 3 years, we would sit down and try to educate these people. We don't want to give them any excuses. We will explain tit for tat every single law and what we expect at Iredell County Sheriff's Office.
And a lot of people there's a lot of different, no, but there's a lot of different registers. The general, the recidivist, the aggravated, the predator. It depends on what kind of person it is. They can be on there from 10 years or I guess really hardly anything up to life, correct?
Yes, sir. The 10 years is, they're eligible to go back to their county and conviction and petition the courts to come off, but it's up to a judge. If the judge says no for the next 20 years, they'll stay for 30. Lifetime would be for the 3 categories other than general. The recidivist, the aggravated, or the doctor would have to diagnose you with the predator. We don't have any of those, thankfully, in Iredell County. I've never seen one here. There are some in the state, though.
I'm glad we don't. And how many do we actually have on our list now that we're responsible for? Or roundabout.
Roughly, I'm going to say 360. About 70 of them are either locked up with ICE detainers or in prison or for some other unknown reason. If they are registered here, we maintain their records here in Iredell County.
And moving away, what happens whenever any of their changes, just like probation? What's their responsibility if they move or change anything?
Well, take probation out of it for a second because they have their own requirements. But
Gotcha.
What the state law would require would be different depending on where they're moving. If they're moving within the county, then they have a 3-day window that they just got to let us know. They need to come up in person and document it. If they're moving to another county, they need to come to us still within that 3 days. And then if they're going to another county, they need to report to that county within 10. If they're going to another state, it changes up a little bit where they have 3 days prior to their move, because obviously you can't change your address after you move. And then whatever that state requirements are.
And I know you've been passionate about it, because we had some issues here a while back with, I think it was Texas, actually getting the information, make sure they're required to let us know, and then Texas. But I can't remember how all the, I know that you, and I believe Senator Sawyer really worked hard to get that 1,000-foot rule clarified, several years ago. Yeah,
there was some confusion on the 1,000-foot rule that you mentioned. It says, that they can't live within a school or a daycare, but it didn't define what is where they lived. Is that property line to property line? Mm-hmm. And so there was more clarification.
Where'd you lay your head at, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, so if you're thinking about being a sex offender, which we hope nobody is say you're living here and you're living next door 500 feet from a house and you get convicted, you have to sell your house, move?
No, there is a grandfather clause there.
Okay.
And we have some of those, if somebody is already established and live, they're now if they move, or there's been some other discussions if it's a rental type situation or lease.
Gotcha. Well, listen, we're fixed to take a break. I did forget to let everybody know you can follow us on Facebook. We're live, X, LinkedIn, the app, WSIC, a bunch of different places to follow us. Follow us, listen, and we'll be back in about 2.5 minutes.
right, welcome back, listeners. We are here live in the wonderful Purple Heart Home Studio with your host of The Good, the Bad, and the Guilty, Sheriff Darren Campbell. Thank you for being here, sir. I guess I'm the co-host today over here in the comfy chair, and our guest is Deputy Brad Stroud, former sex offender compliance officer, current school resource officer. So he's got quite a few things that he's sharing with us. We did mention, Sheriff mentioned we are on Facebook Live, so I want to mention some of the comments.
That's what I was going to know. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Carl, thank you.
Pastor Carl Mitchell, we thank you so much for listening. And it says that if there ever was a mayor or a governor of Iredell County, Sheriff should run after he retires. So he didn't say you could run now. He wants you to finish out, keep this
confidence.
as long as can. But and then of course, Mr. Mitchell talked more about the Crocs that I mentioned down there. But he's glad there's manly Crocs. But he did pose a good question. So Brad, what happens if that sex offender doesn't report? What if they miss that report or break their rules, so to speak?
Yeah, so that's where the investigation would start. If they're past a time frame that they're supposed to report by, then we're going to obviously collect all that information and charge them with a felony. So,
well, that was one reason we reclassified y'all to basically investigators, because y'all do felony cases and y'all had to build up these things for discovery in court, but they do work a lot of
we
felony
appreciate
cases.
that. Yeah.
You're very well. Thank you. Thank the commissioners. They're the ones that help do the reclass. And but y'all do actively work those kind of cases.
And now you mentioned earlier about the online identifiers, and I've heard you say before that there are so many. I mean, when you just think about our email addresses, we've got a work one, you've got a personal one, you've got one you register for it, to get the restaurant app, whatever it is. But think about these perpetrators, these offenders, these sex offenders. If they have anything that they're not disclosing, any type of online identifier, and how do you find out about those?
Any way we can. I mean, there's sometimes, honestly, the public, the eyes. I mean, we get tips. Want to definitely mention that anything that somebody sees and there's just a question, we're a phone call away, email away. There's definitely something we can look into. Obviously, we go online. I think there's a couple cases right now where not going to go into the detail on that, but just snooping around, looking into, and we probably do more with the social media platforms, because that would be a way to reach people that they're targeting. So yeah, if there is a way to communicate with another person online, then they need to register it. So a lot of these apps are. So I don't care if it's Zoom or if it's Xbox, if it's YouTube, if it's Words with Friends and there's a chat line at the bottom, we're interested, and we'll do the work. You just help us out, get us to the right place.
And that's a great point. We talked about what was on Break the App. So what's the best way? And I mentioned it when we first started here a little bit, but tell us a little bit about the app and how y'all are built in. There's a section in there, in addition to the guns and the school resource. There's actually a section in there for the sex offenders and how you can send us information.
Yeah, so the submit a tip it's one of the icons in the app. It's you can be anonymous. You can tell us who you are. You can give us as much or as little. If it's just even hey, I think something's weird. Whatever it is, if it's something for us to look into, it is on the app. It's pretty simple. Again, there's a lot of different ways to contact us. We have business cards that we hand out as much as we can. So. If anybody has any questions, there's like I said, I answer all these questions still. A lot of deputies still call me, along with Pageant, along with Detective Sanford. There's a whole lot of questions when it comes to this, and we don't mind answering them. That's what we're here for. The app is just one way. We have a web or an email address that we can send.
Or to Facebook. We'll send ICSO info. We'll get to wherever it needs to be, and y'all get a lot of information on that.
The Offender Watch program, I think we've got some submitted tips from there. And
I think we're the only second sheriff's office in the state of North Carolina that uses that.
I want to say there's three, because Forsyth County came and studied with us, looking at our program, and I think they're using it now. And they love it.
Yeah, out of the 97 counties, there's 3 of us now that's doing it. Yeah, it's and we've been on it now probably over 10 years. Offender Watch does a lot of different things. It allows us to do a lot of database checking.
Well, just like that the app, Sheriff, as you mentioned, when you click on sex offender, it brings you down to where you are, the blue dot. So right here where our location is at Purple Heart Homes, I was able to kind of zoom in, and there's someone on Meeting Street. I hit the little blue eye button. I've got a picture of him. I've got the overhead Google map of looking at his residence. And then information about him from the offense and the date that it happened. There's lots of information here.
Which is all required by them to give us when they registered. That is all the same
Yeah, that's
information.
part of their sentence.
It's exactly.
Well, so you're talking the blue dot. Now, I did not have a blue dot on mine, but I think now, Brad, that was speaking, I think I probably got on my phone, I probably got my location services cut off. Just guessing. I don't know if that had, we're obviously not.
And I know some of the school resource officers, I think you'd recommended that they go into the app and get notified if anyone moves into their 3 mile, 5 mile district.
Yeah, just being aware of there are parents that are sex offenders, and then they still have children, and they have,
Well, there's kids that are victims and are trying to overcome that and things. So can you set up a geofence? When I talk about a geofence, if somebody crosses in, say you want it 200 yards from your house, or if a new person moves into that area.
Now that's beyond.
That's a good question we should ask.
I believe that was Offender Watch. When you go into
Offender
their
Watch.
actual Offender Watch online, you would put your address in, and you would make the concentric circles 3 miles or 5 miles. And we did that outside of the school zone.
I remember there's a reason we years ago, and that's one of the ones. And like
so if anyone moved in or automatically registered, it would send an email.
So especially for the 1,000-foot rule.
Yes.
So the 1,000-foot rule we try to stop it before it happens. There's ignorance is not going to be forgiveness of law, but if we can stop it before it happens, if somebody doesn't do the research, we have tools because we have this pretty cool program at Offender Watch. So we can type that address in as simple as, hey, there's known entities.
Well, we really try to be proactive because we'd much rather prevent it than investigate it.
Yes,
I said that. I've said that forever. So, and obviously that's the philosophy.
That's the stuff that doesn't go on paper as much. It absolutely is part of that job. It's, that's there are times where there is just some people that are just not going to do and then there's people that I have call me and that are on the registry and say, hey, I was looking at this address. Do you see anything wrong? I don't mind at all. We tell them, or they have a question where law is not clear, and then we say, this is our expectations. This is what the DA's office, this is the way the sheriff's office sees it.
Well, and I tell you, they're attorneys in the courts, and we do it. They know we have a sex offender compliance because I'm going to tell you, if I'm there Saturday working sometimes on a Saturday at the office, they'll walk in and say, hey, listen, this happened yesterday. I want to make sure you knew I was here. I mean, they want to come and make sure that they're registered because they know that we work these cases. And a lot of counties don't work these cases. I mean, we have to maintain it and do our best, but it does not say anything about assigning officers to specifically do that.
Now, what about homeless individuals?
Yeah,
they don't have an address.
Yeah,
we've had that round before. That's a sore spot with the homeless people, at least as far as registering them used to when they tried to use the jail. But
yeah, so the homeless, they still have requirements, and they still it's not in their favor to be homeless. Obviously, that's kind of without saying. But we ask a little more from them. We ask them to come in, check in with us more often because they're vagrant and by nature. They for the most part do a pretty good job of that. But even with that, we're still going to know where they're laying their head at. Typically, they're going to give us. I don't care if it's by the rock, by the tree, by this address that's not on the same property. So we have a addendum to the registry packet. That's the initial packet to tell us on top of all that other information is. Tell me where you're frequent, where do you hang out otherwise, so we can find these people best.
And they're usually fairly, let us know. Just one totally off subject, full disclosure, okay? Going back to the comments on Facebook, I just happened to see a Brad Stroud Sr. made a comment. Now, I'll go ahead and disclose that here in a little bit. Are all of your officers that handsome? I assume Maddie's talking about me and you. Talking about me. We're fighting. But
thanks, Paul.
Just for the full disclosure, he texted me before we come, just for the record now. Me and you, we've worked together. You've been with sheriff. You've been in law enforcement now for 19 years.
Yes, sir.
Way before. So now, do you have to train him or keep him straight, or does he now he's commissioner, try to tell you, or
It's a little bit of both. A little give and take. A little, I teach him the new stuff. He teaches me the old stuff. So.
you keep him straight?
Try to. He's a handful though.
We got to give a close call. Brad sent me a text. I know he's sore. We ended up getting hit by a car on a tractor here a couple weeks ago. So I do want to say very lucky and blessed to So we obviously won't think about him. No, it's not something we put out there, but I think it's seen on Facebook, but some of them don't know. He was very, very lucky to walk away from that. So, but, yeah, and your Uncle Bert, you know. Okay, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, we got about a minute before we take a break.
Okay.
And we'll come back and we're going to do some press releases and some other stuff. We had a busy weekend from a lot of break-ins to a drowning.
Yep. So any comments you guys have on this, you can put them in Facebook. You need to have our app. I'm sure you have your app, the app. If you don't, you can download it free. It's on the Google store for your Samsung. It's on the iPhone store.
I'll tell you something even better. You see a deputy, they got the cards. They can give you the
that's right.
They can give you the codes right there at the patrol cars.
Yep. So just to scan your code in, you'll be able to get that app and then put your address in. You can see you put the school resource officers on there, see where your kids go to school, contact your school resource officer.
With a picture of them.
Yeah, with the picture of that officer. We've got lots of different opportunities to engage with us, and we'll talk about those when we come back, about Teen Academy and the outdoor weeks. So those things are advertised on there as well. So, Brad, you're sticking around.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You're having fun,
Yes,
aren't
sir.
you?
Yes, sir.
We'll let you bring
and
us
Joe
back.
hadn't even said it. And Joe's over looking. I see his eye. He's waving at us.
Yep.
So, well, we'll be back. I think, Matt, we'll come back and get started. We'll take a little bit of quick break.
Okay.
Call, let your friends know, comment on Facebook, follow us, X, FM channels, and enjoy the show.
Yep.
We'll be back in about 2.5
We'll be right
minutes.
back.
Welcome back to The Good, the Bad, and Guilty. Brad, I bet you hadn't had this much fun in a long time, have you?
No, I can't remember when. Today is it.
Been great. Well, I was trying to think of all the FM channels. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, YouTube, WSIC app, and 100.7 FM and 105.9.
That's expansion.
Y'all old school using the
Everywhere out
radio
there.
and
Yep.
FM.
Turn the dial. They don't even do that anymore.
Brad,
right?
you young guys use even the regular radio anymore much? Or everything's on apps?
I'm not one of the young guys, but yes.
Do you remember a cassette tape?
Oh yeah,
About
I had them.
All right. Well, his dad's really old too.
Yeah, he probably had one of them things called, was it 8-track? What was those big?
Yeah,
big,
the 8-track. Yeah, I remember those. I had George Jones and
I don't
Conway
remember
Twitty.
that far back.
Because it was neat because you could skip the tracks. That was the first time, with the cassette, you had to fast forward.
And also, I do remember. I do remember my old in high school. I had a pickup truck. And I remember the radio dial, and then when you couldn't figure out why the turns, it had rubber bands on the inside. It's how you move the dials. When you turn it on the back side of the radio, that's how they move and back. On Stroud, I just remember
Wow.
that. So.
Well, I remember VCRs, and they would go bad. You'd have to go get them worked on and get a rubber band put inside of them, a belt to run the VCR. So, and camcorders that took a full-size one. So we've come a long way. That's what we're saying with the miracle of technology and all that we're able to do. That's been pretty important for us.
So Brad, one thing before we move on to the last part of the show, we'll take our next break and come back to press release. Probably people say, well, why would you leave that job? As a detective, you left it and you come to resource officers. We know why, because you can bring a lot of that. First of all, you like kids and a lot of it's family time, but you can bring that education and that training and that knowledge and apply it into the schools. And now you can let other school resource officers, you can do a class, you can tell them, you work with them during the summer, do different things. Of course, I think you're back up there this summer as SRO, but how that knowledge capability flows over into our school resource officer program.
Yeah, so first, like you said, I kind of get best of both worlds because I get to work in the summertime. I still do the registry stuff, and I'm still stay knowledgeable and active. I talk to those folks every day. But two, there's always been a want to be a school resource officer, and that's one of the biggest groups that we have. I think it's our largest unit. Am I correct?
It is probably right at, take patrol division out, but it's probably one of our biggest.
31.
It's probably pushing, but anyway, it's one of our biggest units. Yes, one of the top two.
So it's one of our biggest units, and there's there is something a little special that I think that I bring to the table to those folks, and it directly involves what we're trying to protect. When we're talking about the sex offender registry, obviously there's adult victims, but more so children, right? So there's some workings already with the office trying to get some training, just getting it out there, getting better information, sharing between different units, and what better way to bridge that gap.
Well, the big thing now, it seems like the kids, and not really just this, but they know as far as on app. You was talking about video gaming. There's so many opportunities for predators and sex offenders to have contact with our kids we may not know. So, and the kids are a lot more knowledgeable of these apps. We do the program for the 15 most dangerous apps. I wouldn't even be able to tell you how to go in there and do. I wouldn't tell you how to go play a video game, but I'm saying that pathways allow these offenders and other criminals to have a real-time conversation with our
You're
kids.
in a server playing with someone from India or South Carolina or next door, and you're playing a game, and you think you're playing Minecraft with other 9, 10, 12-year-olds, but it could be a 30, 40, 50-year-old sex offender.
And we're trying to play catch-up. You younger officers, or the younger officers like Paget and Sanford, they're the younger side. They understand the technology. I mean, here we were just 5 minutes ago talking about 8-track tapes.
Right. And I kind of lean towards what you guys are. The folks that are younger than me, they're 25 years old, and they understand the technology side. I mean, I would argue all day long. I have them on the investigative side, dealing with people to people. But when it comes to I had a search warrant the other day on Nextdoor. I'd never even heard of it. That's not something that's in my wheelhouse. But there's people that all this new talent that we're bringing in, they're from a different generation. They understand it better. And I will totally admit to that. I'm learning from them. They're learning from me.
Yeah, we're scared to look up online. We're scared to do online banking, and they're not even worried about it.
They're tapping their phones. Yeah,
exactly.
I still won't do that.
To spin or watches. Touching your watch to spend something.
And and we've talked about that. Technology, obviously, even from the kids and the sex offender side of it, and other crimes and extorting and Facebook and pictures and all that, to older people with scams. You know, we just come in a while ago, and Joe asked me about a scam. He just received a text, and I cannot remember. I got one this morning from.
Is it the toll booth?
No, mine wasn't the toll booth. Mine was it was something else I went to jail for, but I can't remember. But anyway, it was a scam. Joe, you got your microphone. What was yours? Just it's a good time to let the public know anyway. But
yeah, do you want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Because somebody probably got it around. If you got it, somebody else got it.
It says the North Carolina Department of Vehicle final notice. Enforcement penalties begin June 20th. Our records show that as of today, you still have an outstanding traffic ticket. And there's like a list of things that they're going to do if I don't pay the
Might
fine.
need to really look him up in case it's not a scam.
I don't know.
It is a scam, Joe.
The website that they put is ncdot.com/ma.today, which makes me think it's not a real thing.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's also a 984 area code, which apparently is Durham.
and they make them very convincing. The one I told you I got,
thought it was
mine
real.
from now. This is from an email. Jeffrey Fernandez 6347 at Caramel. Now mine goes on to say that my Apple ID, which you know what, I got to look it up. I don't know use it for $143 in California. And first of all, I don't buy nothing with my Apple ID. Haven't been to California, but it says your photos, data, bank information at risk. Please contact. And they'll give you a number. They want you to call, touch, and then they'll get your real person online. So sort of floating. I know that wasn't what we were speaking about, but I'm telling you, there's so many scams going around now. So technology's so out there, and they're so convincing.
That's one of the best tools. And I mean, when we talk to parents, if they have questions at the school level, or is educating yourself and knowing what your kid's doing on the phone, that is one of the best ways to combat any.
Well, how's your students at your school, just as you've been as SRO? How do they communicate?
Oh, through phone, yeah. I mean,
Snapchat, Instagram, or whatever they all are.
So I was at an elementary school last, and then going to, like I said, to a middle school, and kind of seeing the different phases. And a lot of the younger kids are not on its phone as much, but you know, the older kids are. So you know, having certain limitations, knowing the parental controls on the phones, that's something parents can do to absolutely control what's going on.
And be involved.
Sometimes
and be
it's too
nosy.
late if you don't get on this right away. So that's something we try to encourage as best we can.
But having that open conversation like you do as a resource officer with the kids and the teachers, the parents need to have that same, you know, you can talk to me about anything, you can tell me about stuff. If somebody tries to contact you, get some information from you, just like we tell our folks with the scams, don't give out personal information. Who's the last person to tell a kid, you know, don't tell them where you live? I mean, I remember,
Yeah, and it goes down to pictures. If you ever made a dumb idea or a decision, make a picture. And I'm going to tell you, going to school, I don't see how they ever do schoolwork because they're all online. Our idea when we were going to school, at least Matt and I, was if you got
there were textbooks.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yes, I had to set them at home.
And now you can Google, you know, you use ChatGPT if you want to, and it'll research anything.
Right. Yep. We are in the information age and instant gratification. Everything is at our fingertips.
And we're just getting started.
Only going to get worse.
Yeah, with AI.
So I guess, word to the parents, especially with the kids and the sex offender risk, because most of the crimes are against our children. Most of them, the vast majority. You know, be aware. There's little things we teach. You know, try if you trust them, let them. Don't charge your phones in the room at night, because if they don't cut them off, they have access all night. And you know, if you got any questions, Brad, obviously before we move to the next step, they can reach out to y'all, send us a message, download the app, an email. There's 100 different ways or stop by the office.
Yeah.
We're there all the time. We'll speak to you and everything like that. So, Matt, you got anything in the last 15 seconds before you want to take us to break?
What's your favorite job, SRO or sex offender compliance?
Oh, that you put me on the spot. I'm new to the SRO, but I'm loving it.
Well, think about it during the break. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
That's the Alfred Hitchcock for Chief Hamby right there. So, yeah, whatever.
We need some Andy Griffith.
That's it. Some Sheriff.
Or
music.
Sheriff Lobo.
Yeah.
And y'all remember Sheriff Lobo? Never mind. Move on.
What was the Big Enos and Little Enos? Wasn't that the
Smoking
sheriff?
the Bandit.
Oh, Smoking the Bandit. No, I was thinking Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane from Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Yep. Boss Hog.
Mm-hmm.
You could be Boss Hog. This would be Cooter. Welcome back, folks. We had us a great break. I tell you, Joe's gotten pretty animated, and he's excited over there. The sheriff was whistling and singing along to some tunes in his head. And this is our last segment, so tune in. We've got a couple of things, some press releases to talk about. Again, we want to thank Harrison's for sponsoring the show. Before we get to the end of that, thank good old Deputy Brad Stroud here. He did say during the break that SRO was his favorite job. No, actually, he's new to that, but this sex offender registry and doing the right thing by kids and by the community, I think is it's hard to say you don't love doing that.
Oh yeah, it's very gratifying.
So,
very gratifying.
yeah,
Best job for gratifying putting bad guys away.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say it. You sit there talking about, and you sit there and said you come to school and you had a whole group, a whole hallway singing happy birthday to you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was a one or two started, and by the end of it, the staff was singing. I was like, man, I never had anything like this.
I bet you said, "Where's the gifts?"
Yeah, I was looking for. There's always candy around there too. That's great.
Yeah, that's good. You're supposed to have the candy for them.
Yeah.
Wait till the middle school. They'll take you for candy for sure.
But on the other side, we really have been kind of busy. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
Got some arrests?
Yes. So traffic stop by the H team. You know, those guys in aggressive criminal enforcement out working the neighborhoods up on Island Ford Road near Lookout Dam Road. I think there's some stuff that goes on up there at that Lookout Dam area. They found a vehicle with Constance Mercado, Sean Ramsey, Scott Monk, all of Newton, Hickory, and Conover. And they had over 4 grams of cocaine and 65 dosage units of alprazolam. So we want to thank the H team, see Madison Sharp, as well as Sergeant Hodges with K9 Levi. Good stop. These folks not only had the drugs on them, but they were wanted. They had an outstanding warrant for Mercado's arrest out of Catawba County, as well as Ramsey had an outstanding arrest out of Catawba County. So
You know,
two
Matt,
wanted individuals.
And you know what? I wish they'd really read or follow our Facebook post because they'd see, you know, here they are. They're obviously not reading. They're from Conover, Hickory, and Newton.
Yeah, exactly. But they're in our county, and they've got
Everybody from the
drugs
west
and they're
side knows
wanted.
don't go to Lookout Dam.
Yep. But and then the last guy, no bond for Scott Eric Monk, and they're mug shots if you look on just some scary looking guys. But he was currently out on bond for drugs, so he's on probation for Schedule 1 controlled substance. And lo and behold, had it again. Yeah, that's him. Well, no, that's Mr. Monk right there. Check him out. That nice facial tattoo. That's always good.
Like Grady Judd from Florida holding my things up there, just amazing.
You got some of those good sayings that he does?
I could probably come up with
You
some.
brought up some of them. So, next thing, you know, we talked about the technology earlier, and we just want to applaud the efforts of the citizens out there that help us with when we put something out on Facebook. When we talk to neighbors, they are able to help us by getting involved, saying what they've seen. But there was a house break-in up off of Faith and Hope Lane. Happened on June 5th. The home security system was able to capture 2 individuals entering the home, and that was assigned to our detective division. And Detective Caleb Rogers was able to do some interviews from some witnesses and some neighbors. They did see a silver car leaving the area, and because we were able to put that camera footage that they released to us on video and out there.
You can put that on social media, and it
We
took like a
did.
day.
Yeah, we did.
Now, they
So-
tried their best to cover all it showed them was their eyes.
Yes, yeah, that
Somebody
did. They
recognized
had their
it.
hoods up, they had their eyes and closed up, but we did get arrest warrants for Brandon Samir Adams of Statesville, 18 years old, Dalen Grant Hallman, 25 years old of Statesville, and then Fred Cox, the 4th. Is that right? Yeah, the 4th, 23 years old, out of Statesville. He is currently still wanted, and that's for conspiracy. But the other ones were felony breaking and entering and felony larceny after breaking and entering. So, yep, we're still looking for Mr. Cox. If you see him out there, know of his whereabouts. I did talk to the detective today. He's still not been served with that warrant, so you can let us know, and we'll get him brought to justice.
I think one of the
I had one like that when I was in CID. When I had a guy with a Batman cowl on. He wasn't showing anything but the lower part of his face, and home camera system was able to catch him, and we were able to identify him because of the hill. But that was pretty cool. Was Batman?
Well, or the ones that get right from time. They got their mole right here,
Some distinguishing feature, right?
or just the way they look. Somebody will always tell. And I will say the social media used to it was, you look around and we had to put out Crime Stoppers and everywhere like that, run it in the paper, wait several days. Now, social media, over 50,000 followers, a lot of people give us good information.
Oh, instantly,
and
exactly.
we don't go ahead and we just say appreciate the public. We'll never name names or anything. So,
And I think you call it a force multiplier because once
Absolutely.
we have people share, when we've got someone missing and we ask them to share, those 50,000 followers share with their 5,000 followers or 500, and it exponentially increases.
yes, and Reclaim Firewire, Idle Free News, I got to give hats off. All of them help us share stuff. It's amazing to me. We can put out a missing person, usually a juvenile. Maybe we put it out even if it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I hate to do it late, but we got to do it. You have 600 shares by morning. A lot of people stays up late at night, look at Facebook. So, but another thing we do want to get into, it's not an arrest, but it's sad. We did have our first drowning this year down at channel marker 20, which was Mr. Crow. And basically, from what I understand, they were out there, him and a female end up in the water. We was on scene, our lake patrol units. We've had them on the show here, was there within 2 minutes. And along with them, I think Troutman Fire and I think some other people helped and responded, but was able to pick her up. She was transferred to Atrium, best I can remember, but he was not recovered. And I know our guys in our lake patrol worked late at night using our RV in Cheryl's Ford,
Right.
but was recovered the next morning. So
Well, I think weather. It was a thunderstorm on the lake, and we got to make sure that those first responders stay safe as well. And it was kind of a recovery operation. They were able to narrow down the area for the next day, and it was I think this was late Saturday evening into Saturday night when the storm come up, and then Sunday morning they were able to recover.
Well, luckily that we've talked about it. And we had Vicky Sawyer here the other week. That ROV, the remotely operated vehicle that we have here in Iredell County. Obviously, I think one of the wildlife officers made the call to go somewhere different. But we've got it on scene, able to deploy it, and it's real time. And they were there within 2 minutes. So sad, hate it for his family, hate it for everybody down there. So we just wanted to. We've had a lot of people call us about that.
Yep. Stay safe on the lake. Keep those life jackets on. Anybody in the water should have some type of personal flotation device. I don't care how great a swimmer you are. Alcohol and water don't mix, and some of the foolish behavior that goes on. It's a big, wide open waterway, but there's boating accidents. People run over each other, and so we want to be careful about that. We did have Flag Day and Father's Day consecutively over the weekend. Saturday
remember
was Flag Day.
Okay, let's test you here. Whose birthday was it?
Trump.
June. No, okay. That's not who I was speaking about. The 14th, 250th year of the United States Army. So we got to say thank you to the Army and all of our veterans, obviously, and celebrating Flag Day. I was honored to get up to Harmony and speak a little bit. So great crowd up there. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And the Father's Day. So everybody celebrated that and had a good time. You got a couple of youngins, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we had.
Okay, let's see who's got the most. Matt.
Just one.
Okay, you 2. Oh, I beat you both. I got 3. Then we're gonna do the oldest competition.
Yeah, exactly. Who's the oldest? So, but you got some time.
Who has the most sense? I mean, after 2, I realized I needed to stop.
That was done. That was it. Yep. So
I think Matt's might be smarter than both of us.
I'm
for only
truly
having one.
blessed for all 3 that I've got, along with the bills and the money, and I want some Christmas time. So
and you keep on paying the bills and the money, and mine's 22 and out on his own now. I went to his house over the weekend.
you know what it is, and I will say congratulations. Obviously, Mother's Day and Father's Day, there's a lot into it. One of the things I think they go get the gift cards and they give you, and they happy birthday. Anything you want would say hey and appreciate you. Not coming another week. We was late and had a long day and was going to work at night. And this before to come in, and Graham had stopped and got a Chick-fil-A sandwich, left it on my desk, along with a big greasy spot. But other than that,
so
those is what you remember.
Yeah, I know you were called away. I shut your door and I saw that in there.
You eat one of the fries?
No, I really thought it'd been there a while. I saw him when he come. I didn't know he put that on your desk, and I'm like,
That's
what if
something
he
you
knows
remember.
that's there?
It worked because we was working late that night. So, but anyway.
So, Teen Academy, I've got 40 registered now, and we still have registration open. You know, Sheriff, you will not let me close registration. However
Nope.
many we have, we'll do 2 shifts. We'll bring on extra people. By the way, Brad, you're helping out with Teen Academy this year.
Hey, and also there's a lot of them been duplicated around the county. I want the, hey, that's the best.
So the ROV is actually demonstrated, and we let some of the
we've seen
students.
a lot of other agencies getting involved. Like, I mean, this is our 11th year, 10th. I can't remember 10th or 11th year of it. But you're seeing a lot of other people, agencies. I think it's the greatest thing to get involved with our youth early. We can get so much information from our youth.
It's expanded from 4 weeks to 5 weeks now. So there's 10 sessions, Tuesdays and Thursday nights from 6 to 8. We're going to have the crime scene. I think there's murder mystery, something like that. Patrol operations, jail tour,
So if I look,
canine
water,
demonstration.
dogs, crime, murder,
All
drones,
of that stuff. Yep, drones.
traffic stops.
Yep. Lots of good stuff. Iredell Outdoors Week is also happening up at North Iredell High School. That's July 7th through the 11th. That's when we do the hunter safety course.
We're hosting it.
Yes, we are. Yep, we're the instructors. It is free of charge, but you must register through North Carolina Wildlife. That's how you get your boater's license and your hunter education
I know
license.
we got a break. I just not seen bow fishing.
Yeah,
They're
going to go to a lake and actually do that.
How old can you not be?
It's for any age. Yeah,
Is it? I didn't know.
it's any age. 10 plus, so you count.
We go down the lake and go bow fishing. I've never
That's
been
right.
bow fishing.
And bow hunting and black powder hunting.
All right.
right.
We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
You ever see